We're about 10 miles straight southeast of Big Sandy. And my grandfather came here in 1919, and they lived right down below us. You see his feed shed. Their little house was sitting on a bluff right next to the feed shed. And this 320 acres is where he started. Our family, as I study our family history, I really enjoy family history research. And they've, since coming to America, mostly been pioneers. The earliest ancestors came in the 16 and 1700s. And you can follow the westward movement all across America as each generation moved further west. So they've always been on the edge of civilization, on the edge of the frontier. And of course, now we're out of frontiers. I mean, we're not going to farm on the moon. I'm not going to farm on the moon. But I am really on a new frontier now with organic agriculture because we are not moving our farm, but we're farming it much differently. And to me, that's a new frontier and another chance to be a pioneer in a whole different way.
There's this philosophy and this idea that Bob started with of preserving an ancient variety of grain that he didn't quite understand what was happening with it in the beginning, but he knew that it was special. And he saw the nutritional and the health properties and the possibilities for that. As well, at the same time, he really believed in organic agriculture. And so he decided to marry those two under this idea of a name, of a brand.
Families have come into my restaurant and I had one father literally cry because he'd never been able to eat something that his daughter had eaten, or she'd never been able to eat something, the same thing he was eating. And he thanked me, and that makes this special. You know, it's changing lives.
If you were really to imagine and count all the different products that we have throughout the world, it would number in the thousands. And so it's quite amazing to think that this all came from 36 kernels of grain.
I was in college and Earl was in the Air Force.
Yeah.
And he met this man in a bar. And they struck up a conversation, and Earl ended up with some of these seeds. And I truly believe anybody else would have probably tossed him away, but he had a real passion about growing and horticulture. So he made sure that those seeds got back to his father, who indeed was the same way, and planted those seeds and kept the seeds and kept propagating them until he had quite a large amount. I'm not sure how many years he kept raising this grain, but he was very generous about giving it to other people.
Yes.
And I remember the mailman got
the article talks about the mailman passing around.
So he was generous with it.
It's been 30 years now since we first showed it at a food show in Anaheim, California. So I had first seen it at the county fair in '64. Because when I was at the fair, I was just walking into near the grandstand, and I'm sure it was this Clinton Stranahan, and he had a coffee can, and he was passing it out by the handful, and he said, "Hey, Sonny," he said, "come over here." He said, "Would you like some of King Tut's wheat?" And so I walked over, and he poured out some in my hand, and I just was amazed how big it was. My interest in crops really led to experimentation with organic methods. About 30 years ago, we had our first organic experiment just down the road here. It was only 20 acres. It was only 1% of our farm at that time. My father was a little bit, he was supportive, but certainly not convinced. He thought it was too risky. And I took him to a food show in California 30 years ago. Thousands of people came by our stand and said, "Thank you for what you're doing. We are so glad to see this organic wheat here." And my father came back saying, "Wow, there really is a market. That lowers the risk." so we have a place to sell this stuff. So from then on, he was very supportive, and within just a few years, we were able to convert our whole farm to organic, and we've been 100% organic ever since. This is a field of spelt. There's a few interesting things about spelt. First of all, it's an ancient grain. It's a winter wheat for us. This variety of spelt is. The Kamut Khorasan that we grow is a spring variety of wheat. And a lot of people think that organic means just a weedy field. And of course, we do have some weeds. But in a field like this, when you look over it, you don't see them because they are completely covered by the main crop, which in this case is spelt. But I'll show you, there are little weeds in here. Let's see how puny it is. It can hardly grow because it has almost no sunlight, and it's crowded out and naturally managed. So we don't worry about a weed like this. And it's possible, the story speaks for itself, it's possible to grow fields of wheat or grain or other crops without chemicals, just by management, and of course this year with a little good luck and good rainfall. But we don't need to spend a lot of money or put chemicals on the crops that actually end up as residues and affect the quality of the food that people eat in the first place. So we want pure food, good food, and not poisoning the earth with chemicals. And this is what organic does for us, and it's one of the things I love about it. It's important to understand how regenerative organic agriculture works. It works simply the way nature works. The closer we can mimic nature, the more regenerative, sustainable, and productive will our organic systems be. Organic agriculture is founded mainly on diversity and soil building. We mimic diversity with crop rotations, which break up cycles of diseases, insects, and weeds. We mimic soil building by planting legumes and other crops, which feed and regenerate the soil as those crops are turned back into the ground. The main difference between organic and chemical agriculture is that organic focuses on feeding the soil, which will then feed the plants, while chemical agriculture focuses on just feeding the plants directly. So that's really, really good. And that'll come up, that's shallow enough, and that'll come up in about 3 or 4 days of this warm temperature. Well, it's finally harvest time. You know, we wait all year for just a few weeks where all of the labor and all of the efforts and everything we put into growing a crop really either goes into the bin and can be sold or is lost. And with the weather being so erratic and becoming more erratic, it seems year by year, we're really nervous about hail or violent storms that can destroy a whole year's worth of effort in just a few minutes. So now we're at near the end of our harvest. For this year, we've had a fantastic harvest. The winter wheat, at least, was the best that we've had in 20 years, since the last time it rained this much, which is almost twice our normal rainfall this year. We're on the tail end of it. Now we're harvesting our Kamut wheat, which is a longer season wheat, and it normally comes at the end of our harvest. And we've avoided almost all the hailstorms, so we've felt quite blessed and fortunate this year. But when it's harvest time, everybody turns to and either driving truck or helping at the bins, unloading, or we have 2 combines and we try to keep going. And it's really a go time for us. And I tried, when my kids were small, I tried to impress upon them the value of every hour that we spent harvesting because it represented an entire year's income. And if you condense that into just a few hours, it makes the hours quite valuable. And the reason that we focus so highly in that period and work long days, if the days are hot, we'll go from early morning to late night. And now we're getting at the end of August, so the days are getting shorter, cooler, more moisture is in the ground, and so we're having to wait until the middle of the day sometimes to start harvesting because it's too damp. But we're getting toward the end, and pretty soon we'll be planting our winter wheat for next year, and then the whole cycle will start over again.
At Prairie Heritage Seeds here, we process and contract the grain destined for Europe. The grain we're talking about is Kamut. We contract all the grain from growers in Western Canada, organic growers in Western Canada, for the European market. Prairie Heritage Seeds also is the processing plant where we clean the grain, and what I mean by that is we remove all the foreign materials out of the grain prior to ship.
Because the traceability of the Kamut is very important, we keep a large amount of samples, right from the harvest sample to the clean sample and to the outgoing samples, which are sometimes a blended lot. One of the stories, we grabbed a package from Italy, and we traced it right back to the farmer's field. We were able to give it to the farmer, and the farmer was ecstatic that he could actually see the product which was made from the ground that it was growing on. Because the quality is important to the Kamut, we do a variety of tests, such as microtox testing, protein testing, moisture testing. We want to make sure that the quality control is top-notch.
One of the most exciting parts of the Kamut project, I find, as a producer and as a processor, is when it comes to the value of the end product, the value that the consumers are buying. You can feel confident that that value is being transferred to your primary producer. When we look at the prices the primary producer is being paid, I feel confident, and I know in my heart this is transferring the consumer value directly to the primary producer. The demand has increased to a point that we are looking for more acres to be transitioned into organic agriculture. So from a farmer base, if I transition into organics, will there be a market? The answer is yes.
Really glad to have you. We love to have the opportunity every year, at least once, to express personally our appreciation for your hard work and being part of the Kamut project. We're very excited with how it continues to grow.
In my meetings with these farmers that are interested in Kamut, I'm trying to tell them that it's really expanding on a lot of knowledge that they already have. And I try to deal with some of the myths, you know, the falsehoods about organic farming, and help them to see that they farm because they love it, they love the ground, and there's nobody who loves their ground more than an organic farmer.
Growing Kamut, it fits really well in organic farming, which is one of the neat things about Kamut, being having an exclusively organic product on our organic farm and the marketing side of it is really good as well, because it's guaranteed to move within a year. We know the price of it before we even plant the seed in the ground. It helps diversify the crop rotation as well. The risk involved in the growing and the pricing, the selling, it works well for us.
Anyway, this is inspired by the Canadian Cup and everybody else's cup. We thought we should have a Kamut Cup. And the winner, and you've already seen him up here a couple times because of other high plaques that he's won, is Johannes Brown from Turner. Come on, kid. Don't get the whole family in here.
Don't forget the other Johannes, which is me.
Oh, that's you. Okay.
Johannes too.
Well, congratulations. I hope you grow up just like your dad.
My trophy. Dad, we have
We're about to start making some great pizza for this big party of 150. So I wanted to bring a product that's better, healthier. So that's how I came across using Kamut, and it just so happened that I live an hour south of where it's grown. So it ended up being a good thing in general. It ain't about the money, it ain't about anything like that. It's about making sure that it's great and that it's something that people can eat, everybody can eat. The funny thing is when I'm at the shop and I'm making pizza and people come in, you could have a good meal. You might even have a great meal. But I don't hear that. I don't hear that my food is good. I don't even hear that my food is great. It's phenomenal, it's awesome, or the best they've ever had. And when they get it, it's almost like the body craves this because of all the natural and organic ingredients that's in it. So people come back time and time and time and time again. And you can taste the difference. You can see the difference. When people put it in their mouths the first time, the look on their face, it says it all. And it's got to be the Kamut. I'm not any better a cook than anybody else.
Well, this is our very first Kamut field planted on the Rocky Boy Reservation, which is only about 15-20 miles from our farm. And Bobby LaSalle is a good friend of mine, and I have been talking about such a idea of converting part of their farm to organic for years. And during the recent years, I've been working also with the Stone Child College here on the reservation, and we're putting together ideas for food sovereignty, where the reservation could raise more of its own food. And we're starting with Kamut. There's a lot of diabetes on the reservation with native peoples, and if they can be helped by just changing their diet from modern wheat to an ancient wheat like Kamut brand wheat, we think it would be a great interest and a great health boon for them. So we are working on adding a small flour mill and a small pasta machine right to the reservation, maybe a small baking operation where they can not only take the grain but have it cleaned and then milled on the reservation, make bread, make pasta, and then distribute it out to the people who live here.
Bobby LaSalle. I am the manager for the Dry Fork Farms, which is owned by the Chippewa Cree tribe here in north central Montana. And I was kind of motivated to change over to try this organic stuff by Mr. Bob Quinn. We talked over the last couple of years about trying some. I happened to have a field here that was in grass and a little bit of alfalfa. So I decided we'd try a field of it here and see what it's like. I guess the two big motivations for me to try it was price. So the commodity is way better than any commercial grains we can raise, and it is a lot of work, but I'm kind of excited about it. I'm liking it.
Who I am is I'm John Tester. I farm this land, which my grandfather and grandmother homesteaded over 100 years ago.
We've been now working together with the Kamut project for almost 30 years, almost as long as you've been going organic. How has that worked out for you? Has that been satisfactory for?
No, Kamut's a great grain in the rotation. It has worked out incredibly well for us. And the Kamut is very resistant because it's a strong stem plant to that. The other thing is that it's good. I mean, it's different. When I go around the country and I do a fair amount of traveling, and folks know I farm, oftentimes they ask me, do you know anything about this Kamut stuff?
Oh, yeah.
And so it's fun because I say, yeah, my neighbor down the road about 25 miles away developed it, and he's really developed a great market for it, and it's good stuff. And it's good. When my wife had wheat allergies real bad, and I'm not saying this works for everybody, but it worked for us. We got off the regular wheat that you make bread off of, and she started making bread out of Kamut, and she got over the allergies. Now she's able to eat that white flour again from our wheat. So I think it's good. Like I said, it's good in the rotation. I don't know that you'd want to put it wall to wall every year. I wouldn't probably recommend that, but certainly combined with peas and safflower and possibly buckwheat and lentils, I think that kind of a rotation could work for a long time.
Yeah, great. Well, John, you mentioned about us being neighbors, and I always refer to you as my organic farmer neighbor who's also a senator, or most people would say, well, he's a senator who also is a farmer, sometimes organic farmer. So how do you see yourself? How do you describe yourself?
Well, I guess it just all whenever you got to know me. I told my folks when I was 8 years old I was going to take this farm over. I've got 2 older brothers. I've been a farmer my whole life. When I'm long gone from the Senate, I'll still be a farmer. It's who I am, it's what I am, and it's what I love.
My interest in research in Kamut goes back to the very beginnings when a good friend of ours who said she could not eat modern wheat at all was given some Kamut pasta, and she called us the next day and she said, what is this stuff? She said, when I eat it, it makes me feel better. And my main search in the last 30 years since that incident has been to understand why people who cannot eat modern wheat had no trouble eating the Kamut grain. Well, with the research that we've done so far, now it's very clear to me that we have changed the modern wheat in a way that's very significant and no longer provides us with nutrition. In fact, it even makes some people sick. And now we've been able to demonstrate that. And now I think my main goal is to try to figure out how we can introduce back to the public, not only in the form of Kamut, but all over the world, healthy wheat. Wheat that makes people healthy and not makes them sick.
Qui presso l'Università di Bologna noi ci siamo occupati di studi che hanno coinvolto cellule in cultura. Queste cellule che vengono coltivate e che possono essere supplementate sia con delle singole molecole, ma anche, come nel nostro caso, con il digerito di un reale prodotto che viene utilizzato in alimentazione umana. In uno studio che abbiamo recentemente pubblicato abbiamo infatti utilizzato il digerito di biscotti preparati o con grano Kamut Khorasan o con un grano moderno, e questi biscotti sono stati digeriti e poi sono stati supplementati alle nostre cellule in cultura. Le cellule sono state sottoposte a uno stress ossidativo e infiammatorio, e abbiamo quindi voluto valutare se esisteva una differenza nella loro risposta legata al tipo di supplementazione che avevano ricevuto. Abbiamo utilizzato 2 tipi di grano Khorasan, un Kamut Khorasan cresciuto negli Stati Uniti e un grano Khorasan cresciuto in Italia. I biscotti fatti con il grano Kamut Khorasan americano hanno esercitato un effetto protettivo maggiore, seguiti dai biscotti fatti con il Khorasan cresciuto in Italia e per ultimo il grano moderno. Questo quindi supporta il fatto che i grani antichi e il grano Khorasan abbiano un effetto sia antiossidante che un effetto antinfiammatorio. Per quello che riguarda L'alimentazione umana nel vero senso della parola, cioè gli studi eseguiti sull'uomo, sono stati eseguiti 4 studi dal gruppo del professor Sofi dell'Università di Firenze. In questi studi sono stati valutati diversi gruppi di persone, sia persone sane ma che presentavano dei fattori di rischio cardiovascolari, sia persone che avevano avuto già problemi cardiovascolari, nel senso che soffrivano di una sindrome coronarica, sia diabetici e anche persone che soffrivano della cosiddetta malattia infiammatoria intestinale. In tutti i casi la dieta a base di grano Kamut Khorasan ha evidenziato degli effetti antinfiammatori, quindi questo incomincia a mettere delle solide basi sul meccanismo d'azione e sulla dimostrazione che effettivamente c'è diversità tra grano e grano.
Twice a year, we meet with our scientific team in Bologna to discuss results from the previous research and plan future projects. One of the highlights of this meeting is our noon meal, which features a variety of Kamut dishes created by an outstanding, talented chef.
So the main aspects that we do in this office and that we also coordinate with all of our staff throughout the world is, first of all, promoting and educating consumers, so promoting the brand and the grain to customers that want to make products with it, and then also to consumers so they understand what it is and why it's beneficial for their health, and also just in general what our program is about. Because Kamut, it is a brand, it's not just a wheat, and there's this whole program that goes around it, and that's really on a daily basis what we do in this office. What we really want people to eventually understand is that it's not just a grain, there's this whole program that's behind it, this philosophy and these ideals of promoting healthy food, nutritious food, not just volume, but good, nutritious food. It's a quality over quantity thing. And at the same time, promoting a healthy environment and just a holistic sense of doing good things while you have to eat anyway. Italy, which is our biggest market, they make tremendous amounts of pasta and actually any variety of products that you can imagine, from cookies to snacks to crackers, pasta, a milk drink, ice cream, coffee, sweeteners, syrup sweeteners, puff snacks, pretty much anything you can imagine, somebody is making it, and we only see more growth in the future.
So Mark, it's been over 25 years now since we started this project together. Do you remember why you contacted us in the first place?
Well, in that time, 25 years ago, I was working for the Lima company in Belgium, a big natural food and a pioneer of the organic agriculture. And I saw a very small ad with Kamut Asian grain, always organic.
Oh yeah.
And with a phone number. And I rang the phone number, and I had your father on the line,
Yeah.
and explained that I was working for Lima and that we were interested to import that grain. And your father stopped the conversation saying, "I'm not interested."
Yes. And I remember he came to the kitchen table, and I said, "Well, who is that on the phone?" And he said, "Oh, it's some outfit named Lima." "Oh, Dad, they're a very important company in Europe. I've heard of them." And he said, "Well, we can't sell to Europe." He said, "There's no way to go to Europe."
Yeah.
And I was a little bit frustrated.
Yeah.
But then you called back, and I answered
called
the
back
phone this
because
time.
we had a meeting in Lima, and the people said, "What is that? A guy who is not willing to sell?"
Then you really wanted it. Huh?
Yeah, and then we thought this must be a very interesting grain.
Yeah.
The first year we were importing 3 containers, and we thought that this was a big success. Now we are at 1,300 containers
Yeah.
a year. So we were
couldn't
growing.
imagine. Yeah.
It became much bigger than we thought.
Yes, we never
Yeah.
imagined that that would happen. It's a great honor for me to be here at Expo in Milan. It's the World's Fair, and it's going from May to the end of October, and all the time we had our booth here in the Organic Pavilion. We're very excited about that. 20 to 30 million people were walking through the entire Expo. I'm sure that not all of them came here, but many of them did, and we were very excited about that.
La storia del pastificio Felicetti è iniziata nel 1908 a Predazzo, in Val di Fiemme, nel cuore delle Dolomiti. La storia del pastificio è continuata poi per 4 generazioni ed è arrivata fino al 1995 in mano alle generazioni precedenti, e con la nostra generazione ha subito un cambiamento radicale quando noi abbiamo deciso di entrare nel mondo della produzione di pasta biologica. E attraverso la produzione di pasta biologica e l'analisi di quello che era il mercato, nel 2000 siamo entrati in contatto con il Khorasan a marchio Kamut. Già nel 2000 avevamo iniziato a fare i primi test di produzione e effettivamente il primo test era stato un test abbastanza segreto, così segreto che non lo conosceva nemmeno mio padre e mio cugino Paolo, al quale avevo detto però che si trattava di un prodotto speciale e che avrebbe dovuto essere molto cauto nella produzione perché era qualcosa di veramente particolare. Ed era talmente particolare che mio padre, quando vide la fattura che lo accompagnava, entrò nel mio ufficio in maniera estremamente aggressiva, sventolando questa fattura dicendo: "Ma tu sei pazzo, ma a chi credi che riusciremo a vendere questo prodotto?" E non mi parlò per un paio di giorni. Poi dopo pranzo del terzo o quarto giorno tornò in ufficio, chiuse la porta, si sedette e mi disse: "Ma mi parli un po' di questo Kamut?" Ho detto: "Perché? Me ne hai già parlato tu abbastanza, ti interessava solo la questione del prezzo." E dice: "Guarda, sinceramente l'ho appena messo in pentola e erano 50 anni che non sentivo questi profumi. Non mi importa del prezzo, non mi importa del costo. È buono, è profumato ed erano anni che non sentivo questi sapori, quindi andate avanti." Dopo 17 anni di produzione siamo ancora convintissimi che questo prodotto è un prodotto meraviglioso, e oltre a noi lo sono anche i nostri clienti. E in effetti la richiesta di Kamut diventa sempre più grande.
Il Kamut ho conosciuto in Bologna alla fiera di Sana. Lì ho anche conosciuto Bob, molto interessante, con il cappello molto grande, texano, e pensate: ma cosa fa lui qua in Italia con un grano che nessuno forse vuole? L'ho provato personalmente in casa con la famiglia, ho visto che è un pane molto particolare e ai nostri bambini piaceva, perché quando ai bambini piace qualcosa si vuol dire che è qualcosa di diverso. Ho messo solo farina di Kamut, acqua, sale, lievito, con una lievitazione molto lenta, 24 ore, e era un successo perché era come oro, perché il colore è proprio come oro, senza uova, perché tanti hanno chiesto: c'è dentro uovo o un altro spezie così? Ho detto no, c'è solo la farina, e così abbiamo iniziato con una produzione proprio minima. Anche mio padre ha detto: ma cosa fai? Perché noi facciamo tante specialità, e ho detto: ma sai, tanti non possono più mangiare il frumento, ma col Kamut riesco anche a mangiarlo senza problemi. Così abbiamo iniziato e abbiamo portato dopo anche nei nostri negozi. Prima solo per la Zise, in questo negozio proprio per noi in famiglia, e cresceva in un modo molto strano, senza pubblicità, e ha fatto una strada che adesso nel nostro panificio è venuto il panino forse più richiesto.
The Crackling Kamut story started actually about 40 years ago when I was eating a package of corn nuts and decided, wow, corn nuts made with a giant corn. Why couldn't we make this, or the corn nuts people, why couldn't they make it with a giant wheat? The years went by and no one else was interested in making this. So after 40 years and not doing one retail product with Kamut brand Khorasan wheat, I decided that we should try to do it ourselves. And we would do it right here in Big Sandy, our hometown, town that's gone from 1,000 people to 600 in the last 40 years. We've been able to bring a new job to back to Big Sandy, and we're getting very good reviews with this. I'm hoping we'll have several jobs before we end up and see help build the town rather than just see jobs go out.
One of the key ingredients, obviously the key ingredient that we use in our product is the Kamut brand Khorasan. And we've chosen that specifically because the quality of wheat that it is. Well, when we licensed Kamut brand Khorasan, we did it because we know that there's a certain protein content that goes into it. We know that it's going to be organic, and we know that it's grown with care. After that process is done, we immediately transfer it to our bagging machine, which bags it into those 1.5 ounce packages that you will see at the retail store that you enjoy. And that's pretty much the process that we go through in order to create this delicious snack.
It has been over 30 years since we first experimented with organic agriculture on our farm and introduced giant ancient wheat to the marketplace. This has come together in a way which has completely changed the direction of my life's work and the passion that drives it. In the mid-1980s, I had no real appreciation for the significance or the potential of organic agriculture. Today, I believe it's the only system which really makes sense, and it is the future. In those days, I had also no idea about the connection between food and health. Now I see them as inseparable. Food really should be our medicine, and medicine should be our food.